Hello, Fiona Whitten from Oakville Crafts here, and welcome to the first of my virtual card and a covers for August. So I'm coming to you from my craft room here in Wokingham, Berkshire. So we're in the south of England, and this morning we had the actual card and a cuppa event over at the Grange Chocolate Cafe at Home Grange Craft Village. So this afternoon I'm going to share the 3 cards that I took with me this morning, and also make a 4th one here live on video. So this was the kit, or one of the kits I should say, that went out for August. So I'm just checking on my laptop that this is all recording okay. So so this is one of the kits that went out for August, and this is the one that I chose for today. So I'll talk you through it very briefly. I will put all the measurements up on the Facebook page and up on the description for YouTube. So envelope as always. Then we have a sweet sorbet base card. So this is A4 that's simply been cut in half and then scored and folded in half again. Sweet sorbet is one of the new it came out in May 2022 to 2024 in colours. So there were also 2 pieces of basic white, one for the front panel and one for the inside. A strip of the perfectly penciled paper, which is in the annual catalogue. I'll show you that briefly. And then there are also 3 rectangles of sweet sorbet and 3 corresponding rectangles of the perfectly penciled paper. So the idea is that the paper will layer directly onto the 3 rectangles. And then don't forget, because it's double-sided, you can decide whether you want the flowery or just the patterned side showing. The paper is black and white, so you can really do with all sorts of techniques with this. So you can use your blends, you can use blending brushes, and you can. There's so many things you can do with it. So I'll show you the cards. So this was the first card that I made to go with me today. So for this, I simply stuck on. So I glued the paper to the corresponding rectangles and then simply glued them to the card front. And then looked at it and thought, it needs something else, because I wasn't that happy with it. So what I did was I used the Charming Sentiments stamp set. So this is a photopolymer stamp set that has 17 sentiments in, and then the lovely thing about it is that there is a corresponding set of dies. So fussy cutting and having images and sentiments cut out like this is all the rage at the moment. And Stampin' Up, bless them, have actually come up with a die set that does all the hard work for you. So this is the die set that coordinates with the stamp set. So these are the dies, some of these ones here, and then all of these coordinate with the sentiments, and then we have some extra ones that will die cut some hearts, stars, I would like to say butterfly, but I think it's more of a sort of flower, candles, shooting star, as like a little ray of sunshine, raindrop, and then this one here just cuts little dots, little holes going across. So it's a very versatile stamp set. So I stamped the Just For You and then die cut it out. You wouldn't believe it, but now where is it? You know, when you put these things back. So that is actually the die for the Just For You. It's tight on the letters. but I can work it out here. But this is the one. There you go. So that's the Just For You. So one of the, I think it was a demo in the US, bless her, has actually made some instructions. She's numbered each of these and then numbered each of the corresponding stamp sets so that it's easier to match up. So I will be getting hold of that very shortly, and I will share that as well. So that was the stamp set that went with me this morning. And then for this particular card, I also used the stylish shape dies. So these particular ones, I used the square ones, the two smaller ones. I could have used circles, and there are also banners. So there's all sorts of things in here that are great for layering sentiments or images. So that was what I used for that particular card. So the larger square is simply glued on. The next one up has some dimensionals underneath, and then the sentiment is popped up with dimensionals too. So hopefully you can see that. And then the strip just simply went on the inside of the card. I have subsequently cut another strip to go on the envelope. And then I added some basic rhinestones just to give it a little bit of a bling. So that was the first card that I shared with them. The second card was pretty much similar theme, except what I did was I used the floral print side for all three rectangles, and then the smaller one I actually used my Stampin' blends to colour the images. There's nothing to stop you from colouring the whole thing, but I just wanted a little pop of colour, so I just did that smaller rectangle. And then rather than stamping and die cutting out the sentiment, it's simply stamped in the space that rectangle would have gone. And then some more rhinestones and the piece that's been put in the middle. So that was the third one. No, second one, sorry. Getting ahead of myself here. The fourth one, I decided I was going to switch it out slightly, and I went for a landscape card rather than a portrait. So I could have put it that way, but obviously my sentiment would have looked a bit odd there. So this is just simply turned from the portrait card to a landscape card. So the fold is at the top for this particular card. And then I coloured the images on this piece, glued. So that's a whole piece, that's a whole piece. I didn't colour the image that's underneath here because it's like it's going to be hidden, and then I coloured the flower and the leaves on this image, and then just basically they're all glued together. So the middle piece is just glued on top of the large piece, and then this piece, rather than having it sitting in line with those, which it would fit normally perfectly, I've just turned it around so it's just slightly wider, because it is a rectangle, it's not a square. And put that on with some dimensionals, and then I just stamped simple congratulations, and again that was then die cut out and put on with some more dimensionals, few rhinestones, and then rather than having a floral inside, I used the other reverse side, so that's just a sort of a spotty effect. And of course then I've also got my envelope with a strip on too. So those were the three cards that I took with me. Then everybody was welcome to do whatever they wanted, either case the card or just use various elements. It was really up to them. And then I'm going to share now a fourth card. I don't really want to do any cutting today. I know I usually end up getting my trimmer out for the fourth card, but I've actually decided that I'm just not going to do that today. So I'm going to keep it relatively simple. So I have my I don't even have those bits at the moment. So I've got my basic white piece for the front. I'm actually going to use not the floral sides but the other sides for this card. So I'm going to glue those together. Now this one I could, that's the floral side. That is slightly floral, but it has more of a black background, so I'm going to keep that as that. And again, I'm not going, I could colour, see I could colour that and put that there. Which, you know what, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to get my Stampin' blends. So I have sweet sorbet, so I've got the dark and the light, and I've also got Parakeet Party, she says, in the dark and the light. Now I'm not going to do any shading on this, so I'm just simply going to colour, and I don't think I'm going to go for the darkest. Let's see what the lightest colours look like, and then we'll go from there, because we can always go over. Now, Stampin' blends, so these are alcohol markers, so they will dry really quickly. And then the other thing that they will do is that they will bleed through your paper. So it's important that you colour before you actually stick anything on, because I would hate for you to be colouring this with it stuck on a piece of paper, or cardstock's not so bad, but if it was white it would probably go through. If it was coloured you might be able to get away with it. But say for example an envelope, you would want to put something in the middle so that the colour didn't bleed through to the back. I think that might be a little bit of a flower there, but it is now anyway. So I'll just do that. And I think that light colour is actually dark enough for what I want today. As I said, I don't really want to do any shading, so I am only going to stick to the lighter versions. You'll notice on these images that there are areas which are sort of grey, darker grey, so that's effectively the shading done for me. So that's that a nice combination without having to actually do it myself. I'm not lazy, not really, but just take advantage of things that are here. And I'm going to put, I'm just going to do the stems like that. Okay, so that's my colouring. Because I was using that side up, face up when I was cutting, I've got like a raised edge here. So I'm just going to use my thumbnail. You can use your thumbnail, you can use a bone folder, the back of a pair of scissors to sort of flatten it down. So that's that, and I just need to find my glue. So I'm just going to glue these and see what I mean about the colour coming through. So you can see some of the sweet sorbet that did actually come through. You don't need to go too mad with your glue. I usually tend to put a sort of a bit around the edge and then a bit of a squiggle in the middle, making sure when you're putting these together that you do line up and make sure that you've got the right bit in the right place. So that's the first one. As I said, this one I'm just going to keep with the pattern rather than the flowers. So I need to put the glue on the flowers, which is a shame. They're very pretty, but I am just going to keep it simplish today. Try and line that up. Using glue means that you can move it around a little bit, she says, having moved it too much. That's that bit. Now I'm not going to colour these. This is the same piece of paper that design that I used on here, so you can see you can just use your blends to colour them, but I'm not going to. I just want that one rectangle to be kind of the focal point. So that's that bit, so put that on there. Now, I'll put that on the left side. Now I can put that at the bottom and have my focal point up here, like so, or I could put that up there and have my focal point down here. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to glue these directly and stick them onto that piece of basic white. Flowers that way or that way. I think I'm going to put them that way, so I'm going to have the flowers at the bottom, which is okay. So at this point you can get your clear wink of Stella out if you would like, and just use that on the leaves and the flowers just to give them a bit of extra, little bit of sparkle. You don't have to be too accurate, just you want to give them a little bit all over like that. You can also add some rhinestones in a minute just to give it some more. So that's that bit done. So that's going to go on the card front like that. Now I need a sentiment, and I also need to do my inny bit. So I'm going to do that now before I forget. So this is just a 1.5 centimetre strip that I know is going to be long enough to go the whole length of this piece that goes on the inside of the card. In fact, it's just a little bit too long, which is okay because it's easier to cut it off than it is to try and stick it on. So I always like to err on the side of caution so that people aren't saying, oh, it's not long enough. So I'll take that off, throw that bit away. It's really not worth keeping that. So there's quite a few things going on in Stampin' Up at the moment. We're in our last month of celebration, number 2. So that ends at the end of this month. Stampin' Up have also introduced some new things that you can choose from as part of celebration. So, and they're items from the main catalogue. I put all that information up on Facebook yesterday, and you'll also find it on my blog, which is oakfallcrafts.com, by simply clicking on the tab at the very top that says Celebration 2022. So that'll have a copy of the PDF that shows you all the latest things. As far as I am aware at the present time, we haven't run out in Europe of any of the products. I've heard that the pool party and soft sea foam cards and envelopes are close to running out, but everything else at the moment appears to be okay. So that's my basic card at the moment. So what I now need to do is I need to do a sentiment. And I want to send this as a birthday card. So I've got this wishing you the happiest of birthdays in here. So you can tell the ones that got well used this morning because they're red. Doesn't affect how they stamp. It's just the photopolymer does take on colour very, very easily. And anything that has red in it, even if it's a blue colour like Night of Navy, there is red that makes up that colour. So you will find, even if you're using something like that, that you will end up with red photopolymer stamps. There is a cleaner that you can get, but to be honest, I'm not a big fan of cleaners on my photopolymer stamps, so I've just preferred to use water. So I just use my Simply Chamois, which I just keep damp, and then I just use that. So right, ink. Now, you know what? I am not going to use Sweet Sorbet. I'm going to use black, and I'm going to do something slightly different when it comes to the die cutting. So I'm going to ink this up. Stamp down on this. I don't want to go too close to the edge, but at the same time you don't want to be sticking it right in the middle. Find the die for it, which I know is that one because I've used it before. So you'll find that it goes around quite neatly, like so. Now, for my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, I don't have a magnetic plate for it, so I'm going to have to use washi tape, which is no bad thing. It's just one of those. So those of you who've watched these videos before know that I explained that the machine comes with all the plates, and the great thing about the plates is that they actually tell you what sandwich you need to make up to do the die cutting. So for this one, for dies, I need a plate 1, which is this one, and then 2 plate 2s. So I'm just going to put that on here, and I'm going to get a bit of old washi tape. So I'm going to fix this on here. Now it's tight to the letters, so it almost looks like you're cutting off some of them. Just bear with me a second. I don't want to put my head in view, but at the same time I'd want to try and get this so that it's lined up correctly. You don't need to put the washi tape all over, just put a piece on. And then I'm going to put a clear plate on, and then I'm going to run it through the machine. And this is where I hope that I've actually got it in the right place. It's not the end of the world if I haven't. I'll just simply stamp it again. Yep, that's fine. So I have that. Now I want to use my die again, but this time I want to use some of my scrap Sweet Sorbet. And what I want to do is I want to, in effect, cut a shadow. So this one, I'm not too worried about it moving because I just want to cut a blank. I just want the basic shape. This may not work. Oops. There we go. So the idea is, so I will use this to frame the words like so. I could cut a second one and then just have that layered underneath so you can see it under the wishing you the bit, but I'm just going to stick with it under the bottom piece. Right, let me put this die back, otherwise I will end up losing it, so let's put that away for a minute. Bring my card back. So if we put this on here, that bit on there, put that up on dimensionals, I think that will work. So I'm going to put the glue onto just the bottom edge of where the sentiment has been stamped, because that's the bit that I want to have glued to the die cut piece of the red. And you can make this as large or as small an edging border that you want. If you don't like, so this piece now has this little bit here and this little bit there sticking out, so I'm actually going to cut those carefully off. So I'm just going to use my paper snips and just lift it, cut it off so that I don't see it, like that, and then similarly that end. But of course you can leave it if you want to, it's nothing to say that you have to cut it off. I just really want it on the bottom, so that's what I'm going to use. So that is going to go on there. I could go even further and use one of the stylish shape dies, because in here, as well as the circles and the squares, there are some banners. And the question is, those, how big a banner would I need? See, that's quite big. I'm not sure that that's what I would want to have on there. I'll die cut and then see what happens. You can always just not use it and put it back in my scrap bag for someone else from class or whatever to find it and use it. Actually, it's not quite wide enough. I don't know if anyone else like me, I just seem to have lots of scraps. That might be better. Oh, that should fit perfectly. Sorry, but I just hit the... Oops. Sorry if I just startled you with that bag. I forget sometimes that my phone is sitting right above the desk on a stand. Right. I'm gonna have to get my husband to figure out how to oil that, just to get rid of that squeak. Let's move this out of the way. So we could use that, but I'm not sure. So I think I'm just going to leave it as the wishing you the happiest of birthdays. So I'm just going to use some dimensionals. Don't need that anymore. So I'm going to use the mini Stampin' Dimensional simply because they will fit where I need them to fit along this narrow part on the sentiment. So I'll put those on there. That's on there. Oh, so I was saying about Stampin' Up, what's going on at the moment. So yes, celebration ends at the end of the month. Some new things have gone on the list that are available for a £45 or a £90 spend. So I will be putting in an order next Wednesday evening. So if there's anything that you would like and you can collect your order from me, then I'm happy to add yours to mine, and then you won't have to pay the P&P. So just email me and then I'll send you an invoice for the bits that you would like. I have been selling my retired Stampin' Up stamps, inks and stuff, and the website will remain up, but my big birthday sale actually ends tomorrow, which is the what date is it today? Today's the 3rd, so it'll be ending on the 4th of August. I had a very big birthday last week, so kind of celebrating and giving 60% off. But only today. It's now only going to be for today and tomorrow because it's already been on for a few days. So if you would like, then you can pop over there and take a look. Right, and the last thing I need to do for this, and then the other thing that's going on is that the Christmas Stamper Stack class and September's online class bookings for that is now open, which means that, and in fact the Christmas Stamper Stack class is already actually it's just over half full. So if you want to come along, make 20 cards, and that's 4 each of 5 different designs, then just visit oakfieldcrafts.com and click on the classes tab right at the very, very top. I'm keeping numbers down just because COVID is still around. I think we're going to have to live with this for a while still, so just want to play it safe, so I'm keeping numbers down to 8. But if you don't live local, then you can just order a kit and you will get full instructions, and everything would be already cut and stuff for you, so you just get to do the fun stuff like all the stamping and the sticking together. And that's in October. So there you go. So that is my 4th card. So here's all of the cards. So that's the 4th one, and then these are the 3 that I took today. Oops, let's see, put them that way. That one, that's today, that's this afternoon's, and then that one is from this morning too. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing those. Photographs and everything will be going up on my Facebook page, and the video will be viewable again in probably about half an hour on Facebook once it takes its time to process everything. And I will, of course, be putting it up on my YouTube channel as well. So thank you for watching and take care. And I'll be back next week with Stamping and Creating. Bye.